Phil Klotzbach is joining me now from Walnut Creek, California. He's a research scientist for the Department of Atmospheric Science at Colorado State University. Welcome to our broadcast. Thanks for joining us. Irma, as you know, has weakened and become less organized now, Category 2, as she heads up towards Tampa. Why did she lose the strength?
Well, I mean, obviously, she lost a little bit of strength over Cuba, as we just heard the previous report, obviously doing tremendous devastation there. She was a Category 5 when she hit Cuba, and so her eye kind of tracked right along the north coast. So it weakened some then. Then the storm re-strengthened a bit, and it hit the Florida Keys as a Category 4 earlier today, then made landfall as a Category 3 just a couple of hours ago, and now it's weakened to a Category 2, which is typical what you expect once the eye goes over land. Hurricanes start to lose their fuel source, which is the warm ocean water, so it starts to weaken. But the storm also had some dry air that got brought into the storm over the last few hours, and also some wind shear, which is the change in wind direction with height in the atmosphere. The storm is kind of distorted now. If you look at it now, you can see that the storm doesn't have that much of a backside to it, so the southern part of the storm is quite a bit weaker, and that's because it's had a lot of shear, so all the thunderstorms are being blown off to the north of where the eye currently is located.
What is the science behind why we see so many of these storms, let's say 3 or 4 in a row during hurricane season?
Yeah, so typically the hurricane season really ramps up in about mid to late August and goes through about mid to late October is when the peak of the season is. Well, the official definition is June 1st to November 30th. Most of your hurricanes, and especially your major hurricanes, storms like Irma, form between August and October. And that's because that's a time where the conditions are just basically perfect for development. Your water temperatures are warm enough, that's the primary fuel source. You have low enough levels of that vertical shear, so the change in wind direction with height in the atmosphere is fairly low, so the hurricanes don't get tilted. If the hurricanes get tilted, it disrupts the circulation, you don't get the pressure fall that you need to accelerate the winds. And also you need enough mid-level moisture to support all those deep thunderstorms that are the building blocks of the hurricanes.
Why do we often see the water spouts, tornadoes, and in some cases even tsunamis after major storms like this?
Yeah, well, what happens is when a storm goes ashore, basically what happens is the winds right at the surface get reduced pretty quickly due to friction with the land. But the winds aloft, while they weaken also, do not weaken at the same rate. So you get a lot of basically shear in the vertical that spins up these tornadoes. Typically, tornadoes that you see with hurricanes, well, obviously any tornado is bad. They're not as strong as, say, the ones you see in the Great Plains of the United States, but they certainly can be very significant and cause quite a bit of devastation. Depending on the storm, you can have quite a few. There's been storms in the past that have had over 100 tornadoes. Not sure what the count with Irma is. Obviously, we'll be tabulating those over the next few days to see how many tornadoes she produces, but I have certainly seen quite a few tornado warnings posted. I believe there's one actually for the Orlando airport right now.
I just wanted to mention briefly the storm surge. People often think that there's a calm and they rush out and think that things are okay, but the eye could just be passing and the surge of water comes back in, which is so dangerous.
Yeah, and especially with this storm is, because it's tracking parallel to the coast, ahead of the storm, the water is actually being evacuated out. So you're seeing people like walking along in Tampa Bay where the water normally is, but that's incredibly dangerous because once the storm goes by, you get the winds coming back out of the west, basically driving the surge all the way up. So in this towns like Naples, where the storm has actually already passed, now you're seeing the highest levels of water rise in that area. So we really won't know the storm surge inundation from this storm for the next 24 hours or so. We don't really know how bad it's going to be until we see kind of what happens after the storm passes, since the storm is tracking fairly parallel to the coastline.
Well, Phil Klotzbach, thank you so much for joining me from Walnut Creek, California. We appreciate your time.